You right now, are you ready or overwhelmed?
Yeah, definitely. I think we can probably get started.
Yeah, okay, sure. Then other people can join later. We can start. Okay. So, Gabrielle, would you like to introduce yourself and also the session?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I stopped the background music. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for taking this 1 hour of time out of your day to join with me here. And a little bit about myself. So, my name is Gabrielle, and I'm currently based in the United States. I am now working as a instructional designer with Ernst Young Global Learning Team. And prior to that, I'm a master's student in education technology and applied learning sciences in Carnegie Mellon University. So the presentation today, what I'm going to share is called Rethink Skill Building with AI Powered Role Play. So that is actually one of my personal hobby project sort of thing, because during my work as an instructional designer, I build a lot of role plays for some of our soft skill training curriculum. And I happen to have a little bit of technical background as well. So I was thinking if I'm able to build something that's just combining these two topics together. And what I'm going to show today is it does not represent my employer. It's more or less like a personal hobbyist project. I'm happy to share with all of us and get some feedback from the crowd to see if this relates or if that's something like you feel like you're able to do similar on your job as well. So yeah. Um, I guess before we really jump into the demo, I would like to run a very quick pulse check. So I see we have a lot of people over the chat right now. So I'm wondering, how many of us have been involved in creating or participating in some scenario-based learning experiences? Like, anyone happy to come off mute or let me know into the chat? For example, when cool, yeah, Nikki said I can unmute right now. Yeah, I built a few. Any topics where you use those scenarios? So, for example, I remember building one of our new manager training programs where we have this having difficult conversation with your consolees. So that's where we built quite a lot of scenarios, the branching and role plays. Any other topics? Oh, sales reps. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Actually, we train consultants on workshop with clients. Yeah, currently building something around competition law, and we are trying to make scenarios to make it more real. Yeah, thank you. Manager training, data privacy. Oh, that's a little bit surprising for me. Data privacy, written communication skills in simulator. Wow. Yeah, we can talk a little bit more about that if we have time. Communication skills simulator in ChatGPT. Partner management issues for PMs. Awesome topics. Onboarding Chinese leadership training. Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. All right. I think we do have a lot of experience from this group. So I'm sharing a little bit about the agenda of today, a bit background of scenario-based learning, a live demo, as well as some Q&As, and a bonus topic, how you can create something similar using like OpenAI's GPT store. It is not entirely the same thing as if you were able to code a little bit because it just does open up more flexibility on how you can get the tutor, the chatbot to behave the way you want if you are comfortable with those technical skill. But if not, that's completely no problem. I guess today, like our focus is more on what does it make into those prompts to make the tutor, the agent behave the role, play the role that we want them to play, and also to deliver those personalized feedback. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. And then at the final of today's presentation, I really wanted to open up for a roundtable discussion. So based on what you see and hear on the presentation today, how do you find it useful or relatable to your job, to your role? So that's the agenda, high level agenda of today. Any questions before I move on, or people can give me a thumbs up? Cool, nice. Yeah, awesome. So we talked a little bit about scenario-based learning, and it seems like our cohort has a lot of like experience in building them. There were a lot of series supporting scenario-based learning. One of my favorite is this cognitive authenticity, because we want people to learn in a very authentic environment that's very close to the actual work environment and actual tasks they are going to perform on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I personally love this topic as well. I am going to share with all of us a link to a scenario. Let me just let me put into this chat. So this is the context of the role play of today. If we can all just take a few minutes to read it. Yeah. So the scenario is like your leader bring you into account meeting with a client CEO. The CEO is from a construction family-based construction company. They currently have a few challenges mentioned here, and they have a few potential solutions. Your role as a business advisor onto that meeting, you have three broader objectives that are the things you want to bring to the CEO and have that discussion. Let me know when we finish reading, as I'll be crowdsourcing some of the conversation starters from the crowd, and let's put them into practice. Just give me a thumbs up when we finish reading, or yeah, I can bring us all to this demo. Are we good?
I think we can continue, Gabrielle.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Damla. So like right now, just thinking of yourself as the consultant, you are going to meet with the CEO. Just to save some time, I do have some like pre-populated quotes, and I'll just start with mine. And after certain rounds, I will open the floor to the crowd and to gather some of the inputs from you. What is the next sentence? What is the next thing you're going to say to the CEO? And let's see how the demo works like. So I start with good morning, Steve. I'm Gabriel. I'm a senior manager of transactions specializing in working with private companies. Excited to be here and learn more about you and the company. Hmm? Sorry, did I? Oh, I didn't start it. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. Let me reshare my screen. He replied to me, "Good morning, Gabriel. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Steve, the owner and CEO of Vertex Construction, started by my grandfather around a century ago. We've been a part of the Chicago community for a long time and have expanded our service over the years. And any specific challenge you help with them overcome or any transition you guide them through?" Yeah. So I have my next quote here. So each time when I am speaking or interacting with the agent, I cannot predict what is the message it is going to coming back to me. So that's why each time it is a little bit different. No matter how many times I play with this, I probably play with it for like over 50 times, but still, like some of the pre-populated sentences or messages just do not work all the time. So, for example, this time they were asking me any specific challenge you help them overcome, transition you guide them through. Yeah. Either way, I'll start with like a self introduction. I'll say like before we get into those details, let me share a little bit about myself. I started my career in blah, blah, blah. He replied, "It's quite interesting to hear about your diverse experience, Gabriel, especially with private businesses and founders concerning regarding growth. Can you share how you have dealt with such decisions? Do you ever have a company rethink their labor strategy?" Okay, up to now, let me open the floor to our audience. Anyone wants to contribute the next message? We want to type to the CEO, and I can type into the chatbot and to see what is the response that's coming back. I'm screen sharing, so I do not really see the messages.
I will
But
let you know.
yeah, sure. But get creative. I am eager to see some of the contributions from our audience. Anyone? Are we still with me? Or I can just continue with the next message? Can you share?
So I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you are doing great. So I don't have an idea.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. And then I probably just start with a couple of more interactions, and I will show you how like we can get this ChatGPT, like customized ChatGPT, to give us some personalized feedback according to our chat history. So yeah, I just continue a few more rounds, and always feel free to interact with me. And if you think about anything you want to say to the client CEO, I'm more than happy to take your message. So did you ever have a company rethink their labor strategy? I do have some populated quotes, but let me slightly edit that. So I would say to him, whether to switch to a non-union labor is definitely a heated topic on the minds of many business owners we talked with. But before I go off telling stories, are there any other concerns on your mind today? So I was really to try to like broaden our conversation and to get a list of topics that's on the CEO's mind before I dive too deep into a particular problem. Yeah, well, definitely there are some concern, but let's stick with now for now. Gabrielle, reaching to union sounds. So I'd like to hear more about him. Okay, I actually don't know. Um, Apologies, that's not my expertise. But I do know one of my colleagues, Damla, yeah, has rich experience suggesting working with clients around this topic. I can drop a line to connect you both. And I ask, besides any other topics I can help you with today? He replies to me, that would be great, Gabriel. I appreciate the connection. Besides the labor issue, another concern revolves around succession. So we are a family business, but currently there are no clear successor among the family members. While some show interest, their capability and willingness to lead remain uncertain. I'm curious to know how you have dealt with such situations in the past. Anyone wants to take this and let me know what your reply is going to be like? No one?
Gabrielle, could you just look at the comments if possible, or I could read?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Michael, yeah, sure. Ask if they have any kind of leadership development in place. Okay, let me take the first quote from Michael first, and then I'll get to Jason's quote. Yeah. Fan visitors, we suggest by the 15th you sell the business. Oh, yeah. Say, Gabriel, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to agree with that assumption yet, though it's certainly food for thought. In your experience, are there alternatives to selling the business in these scenarios? Are there any strategies to nurture potential successors with family or to consider external leadership? Yeah, let me see what we have. I'd ask if they have any kind of leadership development plans in place for any leader. Okay, Jason, I'll take your comments and adapted that a little bit. Yeah, sounds good. May I ask first if you have any kind of leadership development plans in plan for future leaders? Let's see how it replies. We've been experimenting with some leadership development programs, particularly for our family members that have shown interest. However, the effectiveness of this program is yet to be seen clearly. Are there any best practices or strategies that you would recommend? I think we will open for another 2 rounds of conversation before I hit this get feedback button and to see what kind of feedback it is going to give to us. Any suggestions, thoughts from our people? And Damla, just remind me if there are any things coming from the chat because I do not see the screen while
Yeah, sure.
No problem. Thank you.
Could you just look at the chat if possible?
Okay. Would you be open to explore partnering from Ju? Yeah. Thank you, Yasmin, for it. Would you be open to exploring partnering with other leaders in this space? And what is coming next? Okay, yeah. Any basis strategies? One thing I see is partnership. Would you be open to in that space? Okay, let's see what comes back. Absolutely. In fact, I think that's an idea worth exploring. It's always beneficial to get perspectives from individuals who have been successful in the construction place. Can you tell me more about how this should work in your experience? How have such partnerships been established and managed effectively? Anything from our people? Let me just take one more comment.
Yeah, we have one more comment as well from Sabrina.
Sabrina, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. How have such partnerships been managed? Let me change that slightly a little bit, if you don't mind, Sabrina. I would say that's a great question, just to respond to our client CEO. And may I ask you, how do you see your measure in your business? Leadership effectiveness in our business is primarily measured by a leader's ability to drive our teams to meet our clients' needs, which is reflected in project execution, client satisfaction, and financial performance. We also value their ability to maintain and preserve how our company, families, values, and workplace culture. I'm curious to know, in your experience, how other businesses assess leadership effectiveness and how they nurture the desired traits in potential leaders. All right, for time's sake, I am not going to continue this going on and on because you can kind of continue this conversation with the chatbot forever. I just click the get feedback button and it's going to take us some time to generate the feedback in real time. But before that, any questions, thoughts, comments, feel free to come off mute or just type in the chat. All right, before I really go to the chat, here are some of the personalized feedback that the chatbot was able to give to us based on our previous conversation history. So as we started, like your role as business advisor, we do have 3 different goals. So this personalized feedback really start with your goal. So for example, goal number 1, your goal is to come away with an understanding of the main strategic issues which are affecting the company from Steve's viewpoint. For each of your goals, they list some good behaviors as well as areas to improve. Let's read them on the screen. Apologies if it's too small. I read it for you. So good behavior is the consultant asks open-ended question to Steve and should understand the approach. For example, whether to switch, blah, 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 blah. But before I go off, blah, 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 the consultant was able to understand the priority of the client of marketing strategy and family succession as the main concerns. So that's prioritization of issues or concern and areas to improve still within the same goal. Yeah, the consultant fell short in asking for some measurable impact of the labor issue and succession concern. So we haven't clearly asked the CEO to prioritize, which is like one of the most critical issues affecting his business. Goal number 2, establish the basis for a successful future business relationship with him and with the company as well. So some good behaviors by recognizing and acknowledging like their concern and providing thoughtful responses. Good, that's something we did well. Areas to improve. While some consultants demonstrate some like rapport building, they could show more interest in understanding Steve's business deeper. Yeah, that's something. The third goal we have here is demonstrate the credibility for yourself and for your company. Like good behaviors include like they gave a very good self-introduction. Areas to improve include like you can providing more specific example of past success stories, etc. And the consultant might avoid giving potentially harsh or prescriptive advice too early in the relationship, such as suggesting the sale of the finance business after the third generation. So it is really taking like our perspective, our conversation history into account when giving these feedback. Yeah, that's probably the end of the demo itself. Before I jump into the next topic in our agenda, any quick thoughts, comments, or questions from people?
No, we don't have any questions now.
Yeah, sure. Jamla, could we reshare the slide deck?
Yeah, sure.
Are we curious into like what it takes to build something like this? Or what are some general thoughts, interests from people? I'd like to hear from you more. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Says I like how it gave you feedback. All right. So what does it take to develop this prototype? Yeah, Nikki says the personalized feedback was really great. Yeah, thank you. So what it takes to develop this prototype, as I said, like there is no fancy technology besides just calling OpenAI's API. So if you use ChatGPT before, you probably know a little bit about OpenAI also has this API. So I'm using GPT-4, that API, to build this prototype. And some of the things, like especially the around personalized feedback that people like about what does it take to build personalized feedback. So I actually built 3 things into my prompts. So what are my learning objectives? So you see, like I have 3 different learning objectives. And for each one of these learning objectives, I listed some of the good behaviors as well as the bad behaviors to avoid. Let me actually screen share my prompt to give you a little bit of to give you more sense about what it takes to build things like this. Uh-huh. Entire screen. So can everyone see my notebook?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you. So like this is all the prompts that's powering the tool you just saw. So I define like the role, the company background, the challenges and potential issues. Those are the potential solutions and personality. So those are the exact things that you see from your scenario. So if you are a instructional designer, you might not be unfamiliar with how you set up like this role play. You have a context of the company, you have like a fake or fictitious scenario person you are interacting with, some fictitious, I would say, personalities. This one is really to trying to power up the bot. So like there are certain reminders. We want the bot, for example, open the conversation by introduce yourself. So that's one thing I specify in the bot's behavior. And I also want it to be more conversational, more professional and modest. And also, I ask them to improvise the details if they are not provided. And when being asked, can you give me some feedback? Here's what you should do. So you should follow this format of giving the feedback. And by the way, I just put all the chat history into the system prompt as well. So you have they have access. The bot has access to all of the chat history as well as my rubric of giving feedback. So as you can see, like the goal is to come up with blah blah blah. That's first goal, and there are certain good behaviors and areas to improve. And for the second goal, very similar things: good behaviors, areas to improve, etc. So that's essentially what it takes to.
Gabrielle?
We have a question, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
can I ask you something, please?
Yeah.
Okay, the screen share that you just showed, which platform is that?
The screen share I just show. This is not any platform. It's actually a tool I built with code.
So how can I prepare chatbot like you did? Do you?
Yeah, great question. Great question. Let me share my entire screen. Yeah, as I opened up the conversation and say like this is a prototype built with code. So because it gives me like a lot of flexibility into how I want things to look like and how I want like a lot of like those things I just shared in my notepad is actually I put in code. So like there isn't a quite out of box platform I'd say to give you something like this. But if you are, but I understand like a lot of people do not want to or are not comfortable doing similar things. So if you are not very comfortable with coding, here's something else you can do. Let me share. This is ChatGPT, the interface. Is that something like you are
Yeah,
familiar
that,
with? Chat?
that,
Cool.
that's I'm familiar with. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. And like they have the GPT store. Is that something you've tried with before? I know like it does require a subscription plan. So
Yes,
you got
yes. I have ChatGPT 4. Yeah, of course.
okay, awesome, awesome. So if you wanted to go to GPT store, I built something very similar. So this Steve see. This is like the I would say GUI, the user interface by ChatGPT to let you like author your own GPTs. So if you wanted to build something similar, for example, I just copy paste all of my prompts into this one, and I configured I put them into the instructions and configure. So as you see, like if I update this one, yeah, I can start a very similar conversation here with ChatGPT's GPT functionality. That, for example, let me start with similar quotes. Good morning, Steve.
But you can give feedback here.
Yeah, you can actually. Yes, you can. But it takes some like very not very intuitive work. Let me show you how it can give me feedback. So I actually pasted into this instructions about feedback. When being asked, can you give me some feedback? Here's is what you should do. And then exactly the same thing for it to work. So for this, if I'm using ChatGPT's like GPT function, I have to explicitly say to my GPT, okay, now let's end the conversation. Can you give me some feedback? Am I understood?
Yes, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so if I prepare like onboarding process based on ChatGPT, like you did, and then I want to send it to a new employee, where I can embed it or something like that.
Yeah. So if you are using ChatGPT's GPT, you can actually click share anyone with the link,
Hmm.
and then you get a link. Let me put it into yeah. You can get a link with it. Let me see if I can get this link to copy link. Yeah. I'll paste this link into the chat. So that's how you share the link with people from outside. But
Really nice.
yeah, but again, as I said, like if you need to if you want to use this GPT, you've got to very explicitly say like, now please give me some feedback. Instead, if you are comfortable with a little bit of programming, you can put a button here so it's more intuitive. Okay, just click this and then get my feedback. But it's still like works virtually the same. I would say like coding provides more flexibility also in terms of like, for example, I can play with the format of the input. So for example, I can put into a data structure for the bot to be able to parse. So that does create a slightly difference, some slight difference in terms of the results it generates. But I would say like the GPT store is a good enough solution if you just wanted to try how that works in your organization.
Do you put any instructions for Steve there besides the ones that we saw? Like anything like he should I noticed he was always ending with a question, or did you do any kind of setup on the bot?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you just give him some character requirements, some general character tips, then everything else is improvised? Do you tinker on that one?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So it actually takes a lot of time to get to a good version of prompts. So everything you see in my demo is actually done by prompt engineering. So that's just feeding text prompts. So I'm not doing any like fine tuning or tweaking that's involved with code. So everything you see how it behaves like it behaved just now is done through text prompt. So I guess that's the only, like, the first thing I want to share with you. That's like the I guess that's great to know, because it's not as complex as you might think to let it behave the way we want. And to your question, to your specific question, like it ends up with a open question every time, is because I do put like into the reminder section like how we want it to behave. So for example, please start with your self introduction, and please also be conversational and be professional, and please always take one question at a time. So like there are certain things you wanted to try when you are building your text prompt, how you want the bot to play. Those are just some of the examples. And for example, if you wanted to build a bot that behaves very, very aggressively, you might write something that's completely different. So like you just behave as an ash code. Like I give you some quotes. Here's how you should be shouting out to your people. So that's usually in the, I'd say like the reminder section I put in my text prompt. Does that answer your question?
And thank you. Now, I'm also very curious. How much time have you monitored how much time you actually spend with this prompt engineering to get to a version of bot that it does what you want for training?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did not really like keep a very good calculation of exactly how much time it, but I could tell you that it definitely takes many rounds of iteration, maybe like 4 or 5 rounds of iteration just to play with different combination of things. Yeah. So it definitely takes time, and I wouldn't say like it, well, how much time it takes for you to craft a good scenario, and equally how much time it takes you to craft very good prompts.
Yeah, no, I was just curious how much time you spent actually test driving it every iteration. I mean, that's where my mind went. I mean, how much time do you have to really QA test what it does until you say, yeah, this is good enough to give to other people, because it's still a black box.
Yeah, I would say currently I do not have too much data point, but I probably spend up to like 10 hours on this one just to tweaking the prompts. It's not insane, but it's still some time. But yeah, great question. It definitely takes time. Any other questions from any other people? Okay, Jasmine had a question. Do we have
Yeah,
Already asked.
last?
no,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no. Yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right. Since we only have a few minutes left with people, and see, I wouldn't say that's any longer time wise than the time you spend on other learning years. Let's see, that's any longer. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's great to know. I guess one final discussion and thoughts from people, like based on what you see interacted with the demo so far, how likely do you think you'll be willing to try something with whatever day job you're doing? That yeah.
So I have an idea. I'm training a manager in company in Israel. Live in Israel, and I want to prepare chatbot for customer tech customers, people who got a ticket, scenario that happening in the product, and they have to think what to do, how to solve it, how to communicate with the client. So I want to build like chatbot for the onboarding process. Maybe the chatbot will give them a scenario, and I don't know, maybe they will ask him question to understand what a specific problem, and then they will got some feedback about the process. Just an idea.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Let me know if you get a chance to get any buy-in from your organization.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other people have?
Totally. I definitely want to try it for our partner management
Mhm.
program, just to work on some very narrow topics like resetting expectations when a client is
Mhm.
trying to rescope a project, and pilot it from there, just to get people interacting with it and give us feedback. Is it better than, I mean, do you feel you're getting more done like this than in a
Mhm.
person to person setting? So this is how I would approach it first, on a very narrow topic, get people to play with it, and then give feedback. How about this versus a classical learning experience? Which one? How do you feel? Pros and cons for you as a user.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's great to know. Yeah, Nikki says he has to jump. No problem. Thank you for being with us. And yeah, let me know if you get any feedback from the partner you're engaged with. Definitely, I would say like if you're just starting out, ChatGPT is your friend. Just use ChatGPT for just use the bare prompt, nothing else fancy. Trying to get your prompt to work first, because once you get like a set of prompt, just work with plain ChatGPT 4, and then if you decide to run a custom GPT or you decide to maybe get IT involved to build something like I did, then that's a lot easier. But I would say like a prompt is definitely the key, the meat. So just start very simple, let ChatGPT to do the work and take the prompt from there. Yeah. Anything else from other people before we call it a day?
I think no, but thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much, Gabrielle, for joining us today. And it was a great session.
Really,
And
Mhm.
very great.
I hope to see you all next time.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.